Now we have a very special guest with us this morning, George's wife, Allie Wentworth. The best-selling author and comedian is giving us all the guidance we need in her brand new podcast, Go Ask Allie. Allie, good morning to you. Welcome to the show, of course. You're home, your husband's home. He's waving at you.
Hi, honey.
And I gotta say, you look a lot different than George does when he's doing this show from home. How is that?
You mean because I don't have the ABC News logo behind me?
Got a beat.
Well, as you can see, the waves are not moving in this. And you know what's behind the screen? George's laundry.
I thought you were going to say Daisy or Cooper.
No, I've given them like huge lamb bones just so they'll be quiet. And we have two teenage girls asleep upstairs.
You got a couple toddlers in the house today as well, so good luck getting through this next 5 minutes. But you got to tell everybody how this podcast came about. It was kind of inspired in some ways by the pandemic, and you have a great partner in Shonda Rhimes.
Yes, I had been talking to Shonda Rhimes' company about doing a podcast, and then when I got COVID, and I was isolated up in my room for 3 weeks, I could hear our two teenage girls downstairs, and I thought, you know, it's hard enough to be a teenager right now in the world. Imagine being a teenager in a pandemic. So I started thinking that's an interesting conversation to have with people, you know, how they're dealing with FOMO or anxiety or social media. And so that's really what the first half of the podcast is, how to grow a teenager in a pandemic.
And Allie, I know George was home with you at the very beginning for a while. So, and I'm assuming you're going to sit down for this podcast at some point. If not, call me. We'll help you book him. Anything you've learned about George that you didn't know before since you guys were locked down together for so long?
I didn't know that he works out to Hamilton.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I caught him a few times with the kettlebells listening to the musical. And let me tell you something, because I'm going to be super sweet and saccharine right now. George Stephanopoulos stepped up in such a big way when I was sick. He was doing the GMA from where I'm sitting, which is our tiny little dining room. We had two teenage girls he was feeding and raising. Monstrous incontinent dogs. He was doing it all by himself. I mean, it was incredible. Now, I did say when I came down after 3 weeks, the house looked like a frat house during hazing. But George was, you don't know what your partner's capable of unless you're in sort of a dire situation. And he was just the greatest partner.
Wow, I should be away for a week more often.
I mean, but George, everybody right here, none of us, Allie, none of us are surprised by that George stepped up, because he always steps up. Yeah, you are. So I have a question. You have the two teenage girls at home. You have George at home. Do you have any favorite memory from this time of kind of being locked down together?
Well, first of all, I always say I have two girls and a boy. I guess my favorite moment was, here's what happens during, any kind of situation like this pandemic, when people are forced to sort of live and love in small quarters. And granted, it's been a horrific time in the world, but we tried to give our daughters a little levity, and, we lost a hold of the reins at one point. So the girls got us involved in Love Island Australia, and not George's usual kind of show. And we got so invested in it that one night we had a Love Island Australia dinner party, and we all wore bathing suits and high heel shoes.
You have pictures? Do you have pictures?
I have a photo of it that if I showed you, he would file for divorce. But it's in a special little lockbox that when I write my tell-all in my hundreds, it'll be in it.
Oh.
That was such a weird time. We would cut dinner short 3 nights a week to make sure we got the latest episode. A little pathetic.
And by we, you mean you.
So, George, when is the next season? When does it start?
Exactly.
You got me. Tell us more about your guests on the podcast.
Okay. By the way, Michael, our next series is Below Deck. Okay. So,
Sounds like a theme here,
the
George.
podcast is basically I'm talking to doctors and experts. I talked to Harold Popowitz, who runs the Child Mind Institute, about anxiety with teenagers right now. I talked to my friend Brooke Shields about the sexualization of girls on social media. She was sexualized at a very young age. She did the Louis Malle movie where she played a prostitute at 12. And, she's very active on social media. Now, she has 2 teenage girls, and I want to know, how do you chart those waters? What's okay? What's not okay? And especially during a pandemic, teenagers are getting more insular. Boys are dating more. Girls are on social media more. I worry about, do they lose empathy? Are they losing kind of a normal sort of teenage life where they're out and about and making friends and having their
Honey,
first
you got
kiss
10
or whatever?
seconds.
Allie, we have a hard out. We got to take. So I gotta plug your podcast. Go ask Allie. It's
Honey,
available
I'm
now
going to take this all
on iHeartRadio. Anywhere you get your podcast, we'll be right back. Allie Wentworth, everybody.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.